Let me ask you something. Did you enjoy playing zombie mode in CS? I mean, regardless if it was in Source or 1.6. Did you ever think to yourself, wow, this is amazing, I wish there was an entire game for this? Well, fortunately, someone had that idea, so wish granted, here is Counter-Strike Nexon Zombies. I know what you're probably thinking. This looks like if Asia tried to make a CS game, and that would be correct. Although Nexon did sponsor the making of this video, I am still gonna be as objective and honest as possible. And what is Nexon? To understand how we got here, we need to start from the beginning. Nexon is a Japanese video game publisher founded in 1994 Seoul, Korea, so they are technically Korean, headquartered in Tokyo, Japan. Their published titles include Maple Story, Crazy Racing Kart Rider, and Dungeon and Fighter, so mostly free-to-play titles. They do develop games, but also publishing many multiplayer titles to Asian markets over the years explains why Nexon isn't that recognizable, at least here in the West. So how did we get to Counter-Strike? The details aren't really public, but I can offer you my own made-up version. Man, we have this really cool first-person shooter game people like, but how can we capitalize on the Asian markets? They don't seem too fond of it, except Russia. Well, hello, your problem seems to be the game isn't Asian enough. Oh, okay, then how do we make it Asian? Easy, just hand us over the license and we will take care of the rest, don't you worry. Wow, that sounds great, just please make sure it's still CS. Oh yeah, trust us, we will uphold that. And eventually in 2008, CS Online was released for the Asian market. It's free to play, powered by microtransactions, and runs through the Nexon Game Manager. This is what's called an MMO FPS game. Yeah, it's real. Later in 2013, CS Online 2 was released, which is a port to the Source engine. It's important to mention that the way CSO content works is by taking whatever is popular from CS here in the West and making it official, then even going beyond with events like Attack on Titan. Yes, this is also real. There's too much to explain, but the most relevant to us right now is zombie mode. Probably due to the popularity of it in 1.6, Nexon made it official in CSO as early as 2008. It must have been pretty popular within the community because from there, Nexon just kept adding more. Until one day, somebody thought that maybe the Western audience would like to have this too. So, in 2014, CS Nexon Zombies was released on Steam, a spin-off of CS Online with a focus on zombie mode. Ladies and gentlemen, we have gone full circle. From remaking CS for an Eastern market to making a spin-off, porting it back to the Western market. It's not like CSO was ever off limits to the West, both do have English versions, but I think as of today, the one that is maintained is CS Nexon Studio, which was made available to the Asian market in 2019, probably in an attempt to bring everyone together. Wait, I just called it Zombies a minute ago. Yeah, there has been some rebranding done in 2019, we will get to the reasons later. So how does it play? On one hand, it's just like CSO, also depends on what you want to do. The cosmetics and pay-to-win items are a long and complicated story, so first, let's go over the maps and game modes. There are too many to cover individually, so I will be brief. First off, before you get into a game, you have the basic clients. Here you can do everything before starting to actually play, and boy, there's so much to do, it's a hobby in of itself. I guess this is why they call it an MMO FPS. Now, there is a mission chain which contains complete guides on how every aspect works, but I will try to compress all of the information and simplify it as best as I can. The vanilla modes are just everything you would find in regular CS, including the fun ones, but some of them are in separate categories. Also, hide and seek is just prop hunt, a bit confusing, I know. Most of these modes aren't played because, well, vanilla CS isn't worth it, but a few can be fun with the Nexon weapons. The ones in red are the zombie modes. The PvE ones could be interesting with friends, and there's a high chance you'll get wrecked by pay-to-win players in the PvP ones. The ones in green are scenario-based game modes, basically campaigns with stories, and this is the meat and potatoes of this game. Zombie Scenario is the most robust, with tons of maps divided into 8 seasons, with a wide range of difficulties you can choose from. Some maps you gotta move, others involve defending a point. If everyone dies, well, hope you have a restart token, otherwise, game over. Lastly, one of the biggest additions to the game is Studio Mode in 2019. Basically a sandbox where you can create custom levels using presets and assets. Compared to other editors or sandbox style games, Nexon Studio isn't all that limited. There are some interesting things you can create if you have the time and effort. Branching out like this is probably why the rename happened. Zombies are kind of the main focus still, but Studio is also there for community creations. And yes, I know, CS 1.6 has been moddable since its inception, but better late than never, right? Of course, the most popular game modes are the zombie modes. That's what everyone comes here for anyways. Everything else either has a small amount of people playing or is completely dead. You can guess why. Now it's time for items and rewards. Jeez, I don't even know where to begin with this. I did read through the guides and encyclopedia, but that only gives me surface level knowledge. You gotta commit to the game to fully understand. I don't have the most experience, but here goes anyway. The types of items vary a lot in usability, quality, rarity, and obtainability. Most items come in loot boxes or can be obtained by completing missions. Keep in mind, most rewards acquired are for a limited time, and the game will make sure to shower you with free stuff just to give you a taste. You want them permanently? Pay up! Which is not guaranteed when opening the decoders unless it's the premium ones. Yeah, this might be a bit of a greasy tactic. Oh wow, look at this cool weapon! Aw, too bad you'll only have it for a few days. But it's so awesome! Don't you want a permanent one? Wanna roll the dice? There's crafting, and it's a doozy. You can enhance a weapon to improve its stats with either XP or other weapons. Then there's these parts you can attach, which also improves stats if the weapon has those slots. You can combine parts you don't like for better ones, but it's a bit chance-based. And for some reason there are these blueprints to paint weapons. Finally, you can disassemble items you don't want because your inventory space is limited. Doing so only grants you a coupon to extend an item's availability. And gee, thanks for delaying the inevitable. So about the weapons, I don't know much about their usefulness and meta, but rarity-wise, it's easy. There are only 6 types, and many of them have a secondary ability of sorts. The weapons can be anything. Here's a baby. How about a piano? Or maybe you would be interested in holding a deity in your hand. Regardless, if you obtain a high-tier powerful weapon, it's still not using 100% of its potential because it's not enhanced with high-tier parts and XP. Oh, and don't forget, you probably only have it for a day, because you will own nothing and be happy. Classes also have different rarity grades, and they are not all cosmetic. High-tier ones have a laundry list of special functions. The rest of the items are miscellaneous things like perks, costumes, not to be confused with classes, and all other sorts of cosmetic gubbins you can think of. Some items are just unobtainable. If you want them, you gotta catch them in the auction house. Yeah, there is one. I can sit here and do this all day. We haven't even talked about the battle pass, medals and achievement shop, mileage shop, the VIP system for cash cows and whales, also joining families and their benefits of free items, and whatever this exploration thing is. Is this it? Did I make it? Do I finally understand Asian MMOs? Am I at the gates of Valhalla? Well, with all said and done, in the end, what does the CS Nexon Studio experience look like? I know some of you might think an MMO FPS is a stupid idea to begin with and doesn't really resemble Counter-Strike at all. Just a hack-and-slash first-person shooter with an overabundance of completely out-of-this-world weapons and anime titties. For those who never played it, honestly, it doesn't seem that casual-friendly. Many potentially new players might have a hard time understanding what's going on. You really need to give it time. Or, I don't know, maybe Asians are better at this. Despite all this, I genuinely think it's fun. There is value here. Studio mode and some fun game modes can be entertaining, but scenario missions are the best part. Mowing down waves of zombies and fighting big bosses, seeing big numbers on screen feels satisfying. There are some bugs that need fixing though. Another issue I want to emphasize is that many modes are lacking in comparison to scenario, especially the PvP ones, mostly due to the pay-to-win items. Monetization just seems to be the biggest issue people have. There's too much of it, and too many advantages paying players will have. I know I'm not exactly tearing the game to shreds, but it's important to be open-minded and give it a fair chance. Don't get me wrong though, I completely understand why some people hate it. Ultimately, this game is free to play, so some form of monetization is necessary, but this has gotten out of hand. If it's toned down at least a little bit, the community will probably have less of a negative attitude towards it. Maybe more permanent rewards that can be obtained for free, or better balancing overall. This is important for the game's future, because if nothing changes and criticisms aren't addressed in any meaningful way, well, the downward trend will continue. Everyone has a different perception of when this game was good, or if it ever was good to begin with. There's a dedicated fan base, so despite CS Nexon Studio not being the zombie mode spin-off some people would have wanted, I think in some aspects it does something better. Thanks a lot to Nexon for being a sponsor, but sponsored or not, everything I have said is all in my honest, stupid opinion. Could be right, could be wrong. We will see what the future holds. Anyway, I never understood how soap works. Like, how does it entail the saponification of triglycerides? It's a block made of animal fat but infused with flowers to smell nice. The science is more complicated than one would imagine, if you could believe that.